Brentocast number 10, and we're back. Exciting stuff's happening. I finally settled on a host for this podcast and my other podcast, VHS Graveyard. I'm doing this podcast a little bit early this week because time's presented itself, and the weekend and actually the first part of next week is going to be crazy. It's also going to be the week before vacation for us, so I know my time is going to be very limited. Now, I've been thinking about this. And if my mother doesn't go with us on vacation, so we have a little bit more room in the actual vehicle, I plan to take some gear and do a podcast from the beach. I think that would be fun. I'll do it outside on the balcony so we can hear some stuff. And like, if all goes to plan, number 11 will be the Bowers Family Vacation Podcast, if you will. By the way, when I do the if you will, that is a little bit of a homage to our buddies over at Dead Pit Radio, because Crazy Kentuckian usually says if you will a lot, and I don't know that it's that funny, but I thought it was funny, and apparently it's creeped its way into my psyche. I had a crazy dream last night. Woke up. It was so crazy that it woke me up. It involved my brother and some people I knew in high school, and it was real strange. He and I were having this conversation about something or another, and he had moved into the apartment in the back of the welding shop, which, as it turns out right now, he is fixing that apartment up, I guess for a rental property or what have you. I actually lived in that apartment for probably 6 months back in the day, and nothing like getting woken up in the morning with the sound of grinders hitting metal. That's awesome. But anyway, on the host thing, they have a pretty cool app for your phone and also your desktop that is sort of built-in sound effects, and you can kind of pre-lay in your show intro tracks and things of that nature. And it gets me thinking that would just cut out one small step of me recording it on the my Zoom R20 with my big condenser mic here. Of course, sound quality might suffer, so I have to experiment with that a little bit, but it also allows for the concept of streaming live, and that might be something, who knows, in the future to do. But right now, I don't think that's the way to start this, to kick this off. But it feels like a milestone being at number 10. I said, hey, if I can do 5 of these, I'll put them out. And now we're at 10. I went ahead and got on my Canva account and pre-made the intros for 10 episodes. And I don't maintain that account all the time. I have had it for a couple of months, the pro version, just so I can work with their best templates and stuff. But that's how I make the intros to these. And you can see I've kind of evolved how I am doing the overlay on the video. But I was thinking, podcast is just that. It's just for audio. The video part is a little bit of extra work, but I still kind of want to do it for posterity to see where I was sitting. It's kind of cool to kind of look back at your previous setups and see, wow, man, years ago it looked like this or whatever. So I do want to keep doing those, but I think I might make that Patreon only content. And I am basically looking to raise the cost of hosting this thing so I don't have to pay to do it. And that's basically $100 a year. So how many hosts would you have to get? I guess 100 if they were given $1 per episode. I don't know. It'll work out. Not that I can't afford it, but I do want it to be the kind of thing where I can make cool T-shirts and things of that nature. Not so much with Brentocast, but with the VHS Graveyard I'm talking about. So anyway, the great thing about this host that I decided to go with, I did watch a couple of review videos, and Spreaker.com, Spreaker, looks like speaker but with an R, Spreaker.com allows you to do multiple branded podcast on a single account as long as you're within your bandwidth, which clearly mine being shorter, I would be. And it has lots of tools like a podcast studio kind of a situation on your phone, and then also your laptop, as I was mentioning. But talking about looking back at your old locations and your old setups, one of the things that I'm going to do for VHS Graveyard as a Patreon extra is to put all my VHS unboxing. And the crazy thing is, I had most of those backed up where I could find them. There were a few that had eluded me, but fortunately, I had posted them over on the Mutantville YouTube channel, which has now been archived. And before I might have suggested that I had been locked out of that account, what I really meant was I cleared my cache and didn't have the current password because that was shared between my guys that I work with on that. and they weren't always available. One of them apparently was having phone trouble, and when I sent a request for the password, I didn't get anything back. Fortunately, that's been sorted out, and now I am back into that account, and I can download all the content. I'm just looking to download the content that I created for that whole enterprise, and it's well over. That's probably 500 videos over there, and I don't know how many of them I did, but there's a bunch in different categories, and I had a couple different shows, and most all of them involved either a vlog type update or a video of me unboxing something. That went ultimately into my VHS graveyard. So I think I got something like 15 different episodes of unboxing. And then I had a show that I was calling the Horror Classics in Review. And I got all those episodes. And so these are going to be, I don't know if I'll reformat some of them or just put them up the way they are, but they'll be Patreon-only extras. So that's kind of cool, and I'm happy to get those back. And there's lots of content. Actually, it's very nostalgic looking at that site. I'm looking at it, after a little bit of time has elapsed, because we sort of had our little, I don't know if you could call it falling out, but we just decided we weren't going to work together. Back in 2020 is the last content we produced together, and it wasn't long after that, through our differences over COVID and other things, that we just came to that crossroads. Which is, I'm not upset about it. I'm not mad about it. I wish him well. I feel like he probably wishes me well, so that's great. I'm glad to get to that place where I can look back at all those years, man, and just be thankful to have had those times. And when you work with other people, obviously it becomes an ensemble thing, and it becomes bigger than what you could do by yourself. So that's amazing, So being back in there, it's just really awesome. Pardon me while I take a sip of my morning tea here. I am on the diet, guys, and so I'm detoxing up until about 11 every day, and at which point I eat a smoothie, and I'm just like salad, smoothie, and protein. That's about it. Getting some results, like always, fast. I was really down on myself the other day because I weighed in at Gold's Gym, and they now have a digital scale, which, as it turns out, weighed me 4.8 pounds heavier than I had been weighing here. So I opened up my Life Fitness app and looked back 3 years ago, where I was routinely weighing in the 340s, and now I'm at 330. So upper 340s. Like, I got to 349, I think, as far as modern times. That's the heaviest that I've ever looked at on a scale, and it said, and I was like, that's never going to be 350. I got to go the other way. And today, like, I'm looking at the scale downstairs, and it's 331, 330. And I'm like, that goal of being under 300 pounds, that's my immediate goal. It's obtainable. I mean, I'm going to have to, I feel like when I get there, I'm not a person without any athleticism. I'm not a gifted athlete, but I do have some athleticism. And it can come into play once I get below a certain threshold, so I'm not hurting my joints when I get enthused and start working hard. That's kind of the setback I had last year. I got to working hard with the trainer, hurt my knee, just derailed everything, and then those guys started catching COVID left and right, and it just kind of kicked me out of it. So anyway, that is a part of my plan, along with educating myself and knowing how to train myself and knowing how to eat for this. Nancy and I started our ACE personal trainer training program with SEC on Monday night. I am now in their online interface and able to work on my stuff, offline. There's quite a bit of it, this online component, but there's a once a week, in-person component. It was cool, and our old friend Danny Dennis is over there, or Superman as I call him, because he's extremely fit, but he is taking the training to have like a sideline job, in his retirement. Awesome dude, extremely muscular and fit. I mean, it is what it is, I'm going to cough here and there. It's not COVID, I swear. Anyway, excited to be putting this show on Spreaker. So why did I feel like I had to go ahead and get on here while time, presented itself? And there's a very good reason. This weekend, you've heard me talk about this V Hill Brothers album that I'm producing and recording along with my partner, Harrison Foreman. That's all actually started already. He and I have done probably 10 hours total on the project. I'm talking about in the actual studio, not my studio, but like the Snug Record studio in Faith, North Carolina. we have done 2 days of that, getting the stuff ready for these guys to come in and do the parts that they need to be there in person to do, and mainly just vocals. And lots of pre-production talks and meetings and whatnot, had some of the music being changed, which is to be expected. But they're actually in town now. The one brother lives close by and the others live out west, and they're actually in town now. And they had asked back some time ago, hey, I hope that we can watch you and Harrison perform, during the weeks that we're there. And I had thought about booking like an official gig at Loafers or somewhere just to accommodate that. But then I also thought, man, that's the week before my vacation. It's going to be crazy. And Harrison and I are very busy preparing these recordings. We don't just go in cold. I mean, I grew past that years ago. There's lots of prep. There's even prep I need to do today to print stuff out and things before I go Sunday. But that said, Loafers are so good to us as far as letting us play when we want. They have routinely karaoke on Friday nights, and I thought that might be fun for the brothers too. I think the youngest is like 79, but they're music fans, and we did ask if we could do a pop-up performance like for an hour before the karaoke folks started, and of course the owner was like really cool about it, and she said sure. So we're going to do that. So there's going to be a pop-up performance of Bowers Foreman, particularly for our friends, on this Friday, I guess, which would be the 26th. And we're going to try to start up by 5:45 or 6, which is a bit early, and then we'll wrap between 7 and 7:30 whenever they're ready to start karaoke. So attractive, coughing into the microphone. But then we have Saturday, which will be a bit of a family day for me. Delilah Day. Delilah days for us on the weekly are typically Thursday night. I keep her all day Thursday night. Keep her up until about 6 on Friday. Then she's back here Saturday mornings, and we because we close the store about 3 on Saturdays, we do some family stuff then. Keep her Saturday night, and then Sunday morning is the planned time that Summer's supposed to pick her up. And that usually gets pushed out. But this time we're going to have to make other arrangements because I cannot be made late. Got to leave by, I'd say, 1 to be up there at 2 for the start of the sessions with the Vigil brothers in the room. And for us to get everything done, we have to get done. I have to be just extremely focused and scheduled with everybody. We're calling day 1 a rehearsal day just to kind of ease their mind. But really, it's a recording day, and we have only 3 of those with them. So, and the others start at 4 o'clock, which makes it night sessions, which I'm thinking the energy won't be as well. So I have to consider that when I pick the order of which we do the songs. And there's one of them that's really a rocker, so that needs to definitely happen during the day. I mean, these guys are like in their 70s and 80s. And me, I feel I don't have the same energy at night. Like, I am most energetic when I first wake up, of course. So. And that's supposed to be across the board with men as they age, but who knows? I will say that I've seen some extremely cool stuff as far as the movie Minute goes. If you guys aren't watching House of the Dragon on HBO, go ahead and re-up on HBO and get that if you're a fan of Game of Thrones. Because to me, the first episode, if you took the best of Game of Thrones, because I feel like the first couple seasons don't really hold up. But the latter seasons are super excellent up until they just kind of didn't know what to do to finish it in the end of the 8th season. But like, say, season 7, it's as good as that or better. And, man, it looks amazing. It looks like it belongs in the world. You see King's Landing prior to all the aging and the damage and stuff. It's awesome, man. I mean, it is absolutely awesome. I like all the actors that they pulled in, and for the new telling of the prequel story that leads up to the events in Game of Thrones. So it's incredible. I'm just way into it, and I thought I was going to like it, seeing all the previews. And then I watched a documentary, which if you watch that, it's going to serve up a documentary on the making of Season 8 of Game of Thrones. It's the last something. I'm sorry, I can't remember the name of it. But it was phenomenal, and I watched that and really thoroughly enjoyed that making of on Season 8 of Game of Thrones. So I'm kind of sucked back in, Then I, was just feeling, Nancy and I had our 28th anniversary. Love you, baby. 28 years of marital bliss. And we went out and ate not once, but twice yesterday. And then we got home and, we ended up watching the first episode of Sandman on Netflix. I actually thought it was very good. I had maybe a few slight critiques, but nothing terrible, really. With the old double negative, sorry about that. I enjoyed it. I'll watch more. And it's cool that there's things actually on Netflix now that are catching my attention. Nancy has been on a big Korean drama kick, and she's watched Alchemy of Souls all the way through at least 3 times now. That's the thing about her. She tends to obsess on shows that she likes. For me, it's a numbers game. I want to watch everything, but I can't. So I have to be selective and pick things that are in genres that I like. But with VHS now, a big thing for me is archiving these VHS. And at this moment, as we speak, I am actually archiving this amazing-looking futuristic sci-fi thing, which it was futuristic when it was shot back in the 80s. It's called Striker. Cool box art on this bad boy. And the film actually looks pretty good, too. I don't think I've ever actually watched this one, but you can see some of the things that I'm ripping today. The Fly with Jeff Goldblum, the Stargate film, and Devil's Advocate. In the process of downloading all the old unboxings from the old Archive Mutantville channel on YouTube, I have been pulling out things that I see myself unboxing 10 years ago. So buying a tape and putting it on a wall, hanging it up for 10 years, and then watching it, there's a certain satisfaction that comes with that. I'm like, oh yeah. I commented that this looked cool 10 years ago, and eventually everything came full circle. I pulled it off the tape and ripped it and watched it on my hidden YouTube channel for this or whatever, and it's really cool. A Warrior of Tomorrow on the Highway to Hell. Striker. Bam. I'm about an hour into ripping that one right now. The only thing about ripping is it's real time, so you have to kind of give it time to play out. But then once you have it in a digital format, you never have to go through that again. You never have to worry about losing it because the VHS player dies. I have to say, I got me a high spec drive JVC stereo VCR player for a great price on eBay. I'm probably going to try to get another one of those if those are available out there. They're going for some high prices, let me tell you. And I don't want to pay those high prices, nor do I want to pay that for tapes. I'm averaging about 99 cents or around $1 per tape. Got the Death Wish. Wow. I got the Death Wish series of movies with Charles Bronson, which I was up on in the day and saw many of in the theater. Those are coming down the chute. I have an unboxing, at least one unboxing, maybe 2 unboxings for this week. I've got a box of tapes sitting there. I don't plan to have tapes coming every single week, but the way it's been on eBay, there's been some great prices, and anything that's like a bunch of tapes that have at least some of the things I want in them, and by virtue of the numbers and the shipping, they come out to be under $1. I look pretty hard at those, and I do have a couple more bigger lots I think that are coming. But yeah, man, what else is there? Got to keep your hobbies, got to stay young at heart, got to be enthused about life, and that's what I'm trying to be. Despite being a lot heavier than I want to be, I am optimistic that I'll be able to lose this weight. And if you look at the 2 pound a week thing, I've made some progress, since being 350 pounds. I'm 20 pounds lighter, but it's not like I just cut the weight. It's like I've consistently been down around that 333 kind of mark for about a year now. So I just got to push hard, man. I got to keep this diet. I am really not eating bread at all now, just strictly protein and salad and stuff like that. So I think cutting the sugar out, which is something I always try to do, and I can always do better at, but I generally try to do that as well. So, that's what's going on this week. And so there'll be a flurry of activity this weekend with Delilah and the creative stuff and the extra performance Friday night. And then we'll be on to episode 11, hopefully sometime next week before I take off at the beach. And then maybe episode 12 or episode 11 will be from the beach, recorded remotely. So, that's what we're looking at, guys, and I hope you guys have an amazing week. We ran a little bit long last week, So we're going to try to pop this off at the appropriate time this week. And love to you all. Thanks for listening. Check back next week for another fun, smashing, hilarious, entertaining episode of Brentocast.